Yo, what up? It's your boy Snype Life, D Block's own. I'm rocking with my boy Mikey T, the movie star. It's lit. Yo.
Life, man, I really appreciate you joining me today. It's an honor to have a D Block legend on the show. Further than that, though, someone from the LOX era on my channel today.
Yes, sir. Happy to be here, man. I told you when I first ever met you, I was a fan of your work. So, you know what I mean? I'm just as appreciative of being on here. You know what I'm saying?
So let me ask you, man. So Snype, I want to ask you, like, when did you first get started in music?
Man, shit, I remember I wrote my first rhyme when I was 9 years old, man. You know what I'm saying? I wrote my first rhyme when I was 9, and I was able to memorize the Martin Luther King "I Have a Dream" speech for an assembly in school. And that was the day that I realized that not only that I knew I was nice, but I had a keen, sharp memory. And like, just as a side pocket note, you know, I haven't literally wrote a rhyme in a bunch of years. I know that shit is cliche. You know, people say, oh, you don't write rhymes. Everybody say that. But for me, that's where it started. It started when I was 9, when I was writing rhymes and I was able to memorize a speech of that length. You know what I'm saying? I just remember being a kid in the crib and, you know, little kid playing with toys. My mom's cleaning up the crib and I would hear a lot of Eric B. and Rakim. That was one of my favorites. I would hear a lot of Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane is like, I put him in a Mount Rushmore hip hop. You know what I mean? For me personally, that's what made me want to start writing rhymes. Just as a kid, you know. You know, that was the golden era. You know, I grew up in the golden era and the crack era. So, you know, that's what it was about. And hip hop was a heavy influence in my household. You know what I mean? So I think that's probably where it started for me. You know what I'm saying?
So Snype, let me ask you, when did you first see that you could actually touch the music industry? You know, I hear you started writing young when you were 9. When did you see that there was a hope for you to actually get involved with the music industry, though?
Yeah, I think the first part of my journey was more writing the rhymes, being a fan of the culture, growing up, you know what I mean, with the culture. You know what I mean? You can hear the difference in people's music. Like, you know, it's a difference when you grow on to the culture or you grew up with it. And I grew up with the culture. So the first half was really just for the love. I didn't really care about the money. I just cared about being recognized for my talent, that I knew I was nice. And I think I got that actually a little older, obviously, than 9. You know what I'm saying? But I think I got that like my preteen years, before I was even a teenager. You know, as the story goes, you know, I'm from the block where the Lox called their home. So when I got a chance to rap in a cypher with them, and the OGs from the neighborhood would send for me when they were rhyming in the front, you know what I mean? I think that's when I knew, because, like, truth be told, if you quote unquote you a street rapper, or you know you from the other side and you do music and you outside with it, if the OGs in the hood ain't never called for you, then you got a lot more work to do. And I was just a kid. Like I said, I don't want people to get it confused. The Lox are the big bros. They were older, you know what I mean? But for my peers and the next generation after them, I was the nicest one. And they used to always pit me with them. They used to put me with them when I was 12 and 13. You know what I'm saying? And I would go in and we would just be, and I had 1,000 rhymes back then. You know what I'm saying? So I think just the fact that they even gave me the opportunity to rap with them in that type of setting let me know I had something special.
So Snype Life, take me into it then. Is that how you were originally introduced to the Lox, Jadakiss, Styles P, and Sheik? Was it through some of the OGs? Were they all together at that point? Take me into that.
Good question. Originally, I just want to put that out there. Originally, I'm from Mount Vernon. I'm from Money Earning, Mount Vernon. Rest in peace, Hev. That's where I got my start from. I want to say, I was born and raised in Mount Vernon, but I grew up in Yonkers. Everything happened for me in Yonkers. Getting money, getting girls, and rapping. The scrapping, I was already built for that, because that's what I came from. You know what I mean? For a city that was 4 square miles, Mount Vernon is a very tough neighborhood to grow up in. And I think a lot of people from the outside kind of had that misconstrued, thinking like we was just some little small ass town. You know what I mean? I don't know another town. I don't know another city in this state that actually had to patrol state troopers to patrol the city because the local cops couldn't control us. Again, that was the first part of my essence. But now just to bring you into, you know, the music side, the part where I really grew up at, again, it was just coincidental. I moved to this neighborhood. Whitney Young, aka 354, which is my company that's incorporated, that I've had for over 10 years. I was the first one from my neighborhood to incorporate my block. The Lox was the first guys to mention our block in a rhyme. So a lot of people was thinking, you know, the Lox and 354 was like the same thing. It was just our stomping ground. That's where we chilled at. You know what I mean? That's where shit happened. And I didn't really need to get introduced to him because I lived here. So I step outside, you know, and that's just, you know, relationships start, relationships build. People see how you move, how you act, how you carry yourself. And yes, the OGs took a liking to me. My mom's was a Harlem girl. You know what I mean? My mom's had me young. I grew up with my moms. My mom's taught me a lot about respect, responsibility, and integrity. And I was an old soul. I was a lot more advanced than a lot of my peers at that particular time. So just the fact that the OGs loved me and I was a kid that could stay outside late and be right in the midst of it, I think that's where they embraced me at, you know. And I say that to say, because a lot of people that and I don't expect the whole world to know who the hell I am all the time. There's a lot of people that kind of just get on to me. They don't know my track record goes back over 10 years. And, you know, the similarities or the comparisons, that's where it started. Like we stood on the same curb. I beat on the mailbox and did the rhymes the same way they did. You know what I mean? So that classic bounce, yeah, that's embedded in me. That bounce where you don't need no music and you rhyme and you do like this, that's that bounce. And that's something that you get only from that type of culture, that type of cloth at that particular time. And I mastered it because I was outside so much and I was right there, even though I was younger. And I never pulled rank on my brothers, but also at the same time, you see, they never pulled rank on me because they know I'm one of the last ones. I'm one of the few that could say I was right there. And the ill shit is that I want to say this though. Rest in peace, my dog, you know, the grand champ X. X touched all of us. You know what I'm saying? And I was blessed to have a relationship with him. You know, a lot of people would say they from my town, or a lot of people would be from somewhere and they know somebody and it's just like, yo, what's up, in passing. Nah, that ain't fucking with nobody. Like, you know of them. When you fuck with somebody, you go on missions with them. You know what I mean? You get busy with them. You know what I'm saying? And they drop jewels on you. And I got that from X. And I got that from the Lox as a shorty. You know what I mean? So I just wanted to put that part in there. This is really all part of my essence. You know what I mean? And out of the younger cats, I was the most advanced. I was the most serious. And I ain't play no games with this shit, dog. Like, this was really my life. I put blood, sweat, and tears into it. My knuckles got scraped up, my elbows. Like, I really lived it hard. And they seen that and they recognized that and they embraced me for that because I was so young and I got it's like, you get it. You know what I'm saying?
So, yo, I want to ask you, what did the Lox do in the early years to make that impression on New York? I
mean, yo, if you ask anybody from Yonkers, and that's what I was about to say, so I'm glad you just brought that back. Yo, DMX and the Lox, let me tell you something. Them niggas was always stars. Understand what I'm saying to you. When you was around these cats in the early 90s and the mid 90s, they just had an aura. They just had this energy about them. Like you knew, like nigga, these are fucking ghetto superstars. Nobody knew who the hell the Lox was. Nobody knew who the hell DMX was. But when you got around them, you knew, like, damn, this nigga's a star. And that's something that you can't buy. You can't fake that shit. And I was just blessed to be around it. Right there. You know what I mean? And I think it just took the time. You know, it just, everything with time happens when it's supposed to. And we already knew the world would already catch on. They would just catch on later. You know what I'm saying? I want to give you a fun fact first. I'm going to give you a fun fact that I don't think you've ever heard before.
All right, talk to me.
Luch and Kiss, they hit the ground running with this rap shit. For as long as anybody could ever remember, those dudes was nice. They always made their pen move. Styles was a late bloomer. A lot of people don't know this, but the original idea was that Luch and Kiss were gonna make Styles their artist. Styles was supposed to be their artist initially. Now let's just entertain that for a second. Think about that. Can you imagine the Lox being Kiss and Luch and D Block being Styles P? You know, as history has it, P developed and advanced so fast. Like, there's no way he could be their artist. Like, he has to be the third key to that triangle. They're all three bosses. But I'm just giving y'all the initial perception was that they were going to make him his artist, their artist. You know what I mean? So
going from there, what do you remember about the Lox then linking a deal with Diddy in the mid-90s?
Shit, man. When I came to the neighborhood, it was the Warlocks. This was the era of black radios, Panasonic, Sony's, whatever you had, and tapes. And you would run around playing your music off the radio. And the Warlocks made tapes for the hood. And DMX made tapes for the hood. The ill shit about X was, it's my dog. One side of his tape would have 20 freestyles. Then you'd flip the tape over, it'd be wild salsa, wild Spanish music. You know what I'm saying? So it was a hood, it was like a hood thing. Like, you know, I'm just dubbing this side. You know, you flip it over, there ain't even nothing on that side. Just keep it on this side. And I knew all of those raps, man. You know what I mean? And this is before Diddy, you know, obviously. But, you know, this was a transition for me around that time because, you know, again, you know, the shit that come with the territory. By no means do I want anybody watching this during this story to take any of this as if it was being glorified. And in my present sense, I'm telling y'all, I'm not proud of a lot of the shit I did. You know what I mean? I did a lot of shit because I felt I had to at the time. It's just what I had to do. But you know what comes with the territory when you outside. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, going to jail, you know, drama, you know, shootouts and just a lot of different shit, you know, kept me from really focusing on the music at that time. You know, it became a second thing. I started going out of town. You know what I mean? I'm selling crack 1,000,000 miles a minute. And I would come back to the block and it would be the stories, you know, they was around Big or they brought Mace through my hood. And, you know, I would hear the stories and shit. And, you know, just the meetings and, you know, they started, you know, warming up the Clue tapes. And, you know, all this shit was inevitable. I would just sit back and smile because it's like, I already knew this shit. We seen this movie, man. Y'all late, you know what I'm saying? And all the people that I would talk shit to, because I used to be out of town a lot. And they didn't know I used to have pictures. Yo, the Lox, these my niggas, they from my hood. They'd be like, yeah, all right, whatever. And then it started to heat up. So it's like, yo, those cats you was talking about. And I'll be looking like, yeah, I know, nigga. But that's where everything happened, you know, with the transitions. They made their transition around the time when I made my transition. They had a positive transition. I had a negative transition. You know what I'm saying? Just keeping it a buck.
I hear you, man. So the Lox linking with Bad Boy Records, that didn't change your lifestyle whatsoever? I mean, being in different studios, different cities?
Oh, I mean, for me, again, man, I was just a little homie. I was just a young little bro from the block. Luch always would tell, you know, I probably rapped in more ciphers with Luch than the other two. Obviously, I rapped in ciphers with all of them my whole life growing up. But if like me and Luch, like really had like a little bit of a different relationship. I was a little more closer to him. And he would say things like, you know, yo, you know, when we get on, I got you on, you know, not when we drop a mixtape or something. When we start dropping albums, got you. Like, you already know you got a spot with me. You know what I mean? So, you know, I held on to that. And that was inspirational for me, being a kid, looking up to these guys and being accepted. And you know, me being in their plans, you know. But again, I was stubborn, you know. I was my own man, you know what I mean? I wasn't a hanger. Like, I didn't play back pockets. I wasn't with that shit. Like, yo, I'm sticking right up under your ass. I ain't doing that. I'm the type of guy, if we get in the party together, we get in, I tell you, yo, meet me over there. I'm gonna go this way, y'all go this way, I'll meet you over there. Some cats would get in the party with them and hang right on their back pocket. Everywhere they turn, it's like, damn, nigga, you right on my ass. I never been that type of guy. So I say that to say, when that transition was happening for him, you know, I was doing my own thing. You know what I mean? I was getting money. So I was, you know, the time that I needed to be responsible enough to stay with the pressure that I had on in these other cities, I had to be more hands-on. I had to be more involved. So my presence, I wasn't around to catch those moments, to catch some of those waves. I was just there to catch some of the stories when they came back from the parties or when they came back from the studio, you know, and how Big would be in there with the chewing gum, watching them with the side eye. And, you know what I mean? I heard all of the ill stories, you know what I mean? And when they really cemented that situation, like I said, they made a positive transition. My transition was negative because, you know, I had to pay my debt to society. So the second when they actually really got with Bad Boy, I was in jail. I missed the whole wave. I missed the first album. I missed the second album. Cash Money, Rough Rider Tour, DMX first album, second album, third album. I missed all that shit. I was in a can.
Did you get any word of when the relationship seemed to be strained with the Lox and Bad Boy, and there were years when the Lox actually wanted off of Bad Boy? Did you catch word of that? Did you hear anything?
Yeah, and you know, I was in jail, so you know, I was at this time reading the magazines, you know, Source, you know, Vibe magazines, and you know, we seen what was going on. You know what I mean? It was crazy, you know. It's just something that's part of their story that they had to go through. You know what I mean? And you know, I was cheering for them, you know, from in the mountains. You know what I mean? Like the first video is crazy because the first video I believe they dropped on Bad Boy was If You Think I'm Jiggy. You know what I mean? And I was in jail and I locked out of my cell because I heard the distinct voice. And I looked on the TV and I was on Keep Lock. And I was on Keep Lock. So I just came out the cell and went crazy. Like, yo, it was amazing. The Money, Power, Respect video, that was in Yonkers. That's around my hood. I went crazy seeing that shit. So, you know, it was exciting. It was an excitement time, man. It was exciting. Man, I had arguments. I had fist fights just over these guys, man. Just like, yo, those my niggas. Yo, I'm going to be with them niggas when I go home. Niggas like, nigga, you don't know them niggas. You ain't going to be. You know, and it start from there. Like, man, so many ill stories, man. But, yeah, man, that probably was a tough time for them. But they also learned a lot from that. You know what I mean? And they was able to, you know, make the proper transition and just do their own thing. So that was cool. And now, you know, everything's 100. So, you know, but during that time, I don't really have like no real comment on it as far as my insight because I was in jail. Huh? You know what I'm saying? Right.
And I want to talk to you about a story that has been all over the internet and all over the streets. Mm-hmm. I'm going to ask you about a story. And it's kind of like when Ice Cube ran up in Priority Records with the baseball bat and smashed up all the plaques. You know, I just want to put it in context like that. So I know you were in jail for the majority of their deal with Bad Boy, but when you got out, did they ever talk to you? Did Styles ever talk to you or Jada ever talk to you about when they threw the chair at Diddy? One, were you there? You weren't there. Two,
Definitely.
Did they tell you about it?
I mean, I heard about it. Hood, that's hood. You know, you sit around the hood. We heard that. I heard that 100 times, and it's not fabricated. If that's what it's not a myth. Just, you know what I mean. That much I know. It wasn't a myth.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, Ice Cube. It's kind of reminiscent of what Ice Cube did to me, man. Like showing these labels.
You gotta remember, Mikey T. The industry wasn't ready for this type of shit. The industry was not ready for the Lox. The industry was not ready for DMX and the Rough Riders. Like, these guys really came from the street, dog. Like, this wasn't no made up for TV type of shit. When the cameras go off, it's really like that. You know what I mean? And you know, X with the dogs and the pit bull. Like, this was real shit. You know what I mean? The Lox, like, this was real. We outside. Niggas lost their lives over this shit. You know what I'm saying?
And it's like, yo, I'm getting jiggy. You know what I mean? I'm doing the whole getting jiggy on the video. At least do me right. And I'm not throwing any shade at Puff. You know, I think he's a great businessman. The Lox, obviously, God MCs to me. I had actually met Puff once, Snype. you know, I tried to show him respect. You know, I think the respect he would have wanted. I made sure to approach him and introduce myself. Yo, Puff, I'm Mikey T, the movie star. Shook his hand, at least introduce myself. You know what I mean? But when I went outside to smoke, he thought I was like running up on him like paparazzi with the camera. But I was just going to my whip to smoke. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, you know, I don't really be having too much to say about certain shit. You know what I mean? Like, I get it respectfully. I don't give two shits about that. You know what I mean? I really care about, like, you know, I'm like you, though. Like, I care more about how somebody treat me when they see me. You know what I mean? So I understand where you're coming from. You know, Diddy got ties to my home roots, Mount Vernon. You know, if you ask the right person, they'll tell you he's from Mount Vernon. You know what I mean? All I know is that when I was living in the town, he would do a lot of dope things, like when Hev would throw the cookouts. You know, Diddy would come through, and you know, he would give out the chambers, the shades. You know, from the videos that you would see them in, and he would come out with a big box and just pass out. You know, do shit, give niggas shirts and shit. But a lot of my peoples have their own relationship with Diddy. You know what I mean? So, you know, it's like, who am I to even, you know what I mean, comment on somebody else shit? But you know what I mean? I just think it was a great learning experience for the Lox. Everybody's in a great place. One thing that you would never take from Diddy is that when Diddy touch you, you will be a fucking superstar. You know what I'm saying? Now, everything else, all the other shit, that's a whole nother conversation. But Diddy took my niggas and he made them household names. He took my niggas and made them superstars. And they was already super nice. You know what I mean? So,
tell me about what led to your incarceration.
Man, yeah, man, again, like, definitely ain't shit that I was proud of. I got a lot of other comrades that had a lot more serious shit. You know what I mean? But my shit was just as serious for me going through it at that time. So I'm never gonna downplay my shit. Nah, I ain't shoot up 15 niggas. I ain't do none of that. You know what I mean? But my life was real enough, you know what I mean, that it deserves its own story. And I was young, you know, I was young in the game. Now, from my neighborhood, I was probably, you know, not the biggest or the longest or the most, but the first. You know what I mean? I was the first one that really took this rap shit serious. I always was known as a spitter. When I got into selling drugs, I was the first one to leave my city and go hours away to another city and represent my block and regulate shit. I was the first from my peers. You know what I mean? Young nigga coming back to my hood, I used to come and get the older heads. These niggas is grown men. I'm 17. I'm out of town. Yo, pack your bags. I got a spot. All this is facts. Niggas ain't never come and get me for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Going to jail, you know, everybody, you know, did get, you know, slaps on the wrist, you know, little bullshit bitch. But going away to prison, I was the first one from my hood. Again, my era, my peers. You know what I mean? Of course, the OGs, they was going up north. They come home, did it twice. You know what I mean? But for my peers, I was the first one to go away. I actually had an affidavit. I had about 3 affidavits on me. So 3 different individuals decided that it was cool to tell on me. I was charged with criminal use of a firearm, 1st degree, robbery 1, robbery 2, robbery 3, and attempt kidnapping. I don't even know what an attempt kidnapping is. That was the weirdest, dumbest charge I ever seen. I was convicted of robbery in the 1st degree. You know, this is all past the statute of limitations, so certain shit I could talk on, certain shit I just reserve the right not to. But, you know, I did that. I lived that life, you know, gunpowder ballistics, you know, a bath with tomato sauce. That'd take care of that. You know what I'm saying? They couldn't find no ballistics on me. They couldn't find a gun. My mom's got rid of the gun. My mom's was a G. God bless her soul. My mom's was a G. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, she was a Harlem girl. There's a lot more. Now, for people that know me, a lot of people don't know this, but people that really know me, they know my story. Some things I never really shared with the public, Mikey T. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I have a documentary that I'm actually dropping later on this year, and I get into intricate details of certain things that I went through. I'm not really comfortable talking about the intricate details today, but I will give you the surface. I'll give you a fun fact that no one ever knew about me outside of people that grew up with me. I got 2 boys, I got 2 sons, and I got a daughter. I just had my daughter. She's 5 months old. My oldest son was, thank you. My oldest son was born in prison. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm gonna leave that there. So obviously my co-defendant was my lady, which was his mom. And that's a whole nother story. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, it was a tough time for me. I was young, you know, 18, 19, I'm going to prison. You know, really didn't get a chance to experience a lot of shit other than the shit that I was involved in that got me there. You know what I'm saying? It was wild, man. I was in a wild jail. You know, I was in Green Correctional Facility, Coxsackie, New York, across the street from, this is a Max, you know, Coxsackie, we call it the Cat. It's across the street. Anybody that ever been to Green, especially in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s, to tell you, definitely was a wild jail. I see a lot of young homies now on a lot of podcasts, and I've seen a few that actually been in Green, but they have a whole different perception of their story and their experience there. You know what I mean? Things have changed. But when I was there, man, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was crazy. It was razor tag. It was gladiator school. Man, if you wasn't on your toes, if you wasn't somebody, you had to stay on your bunk. If you wasn't tough, you wasn't coming to the yard. Know what I'm saying? There was no boxing Green. They built the boxing Green because too many people kept getting sent out to other boxes for cutting niggas. They started a reception in the jail because there was too many cuttings in this jail. And I'm not exaggerating this. I've seen other big podcasts with dudes that did 20 and 30 years, and I've seen their stories, and I'm like, yo, that's some crazy shit. You know what I mean? So I'm never like trying to make it like it's the tough. But this jail, man, I'll tell you, Green was very wild, very wild. And I'm blessed that I was equipped with the things I needed to be equipped with to be able to survive in here. You know what I mean? And everything I'm telling you, Mikey T, there are people, places, and things that will document this. I had the pleasure, there's about maybe 12, 15 of us that's home right now. You can look on my Instagram a couple of weeks back. And I said to the viewers, there's over at least 100 years of jail time right here in this video. I was standing with 8, 9, 10 of my other brothers, top generals though. Because it's a difference. You can go to jail and just do your time and be cool. Or you go to jail and your name ring. You know what I mean? I prefer the latter. Again, you can check my Instagram. I was in Green with jewelry. I had chains on. My niggas had big brolic hurts. You know what I mean? I battled niggas for cuts in the face. And by the grace of God, I ain't never been cut in the face. I send a lot of niggas out. You know what I'm trying to say? So I'm not telling you this, and I'm not trying to glorify this, but this is what made me who I am, though. I had to live this on my own. I didn't have my friends from home to help me. Niggas wasn't writing me, sending me shit. I had to create a whole, man, you know, you hear what I'm trying to say? So, while all of this crazy shit was going on, like I said, I was inspired and motivated because I see my niggas coming up in the game. All while I'm going through what I'm going through, they coming up in the game though. Know what I mean? So one of my other good G's, my big bro, you know what I mean? It's like family to me, my man Wop. Know what I mean? He was doing a stretch. He was in prison. So we was writing each other. And we came up with the idea like, yo, let's start a company. Let's do 354. He had did a little more time than me, so he was already up before I even got in. So by the time I got up north, he was on his way home. So he went home first, and then he would write me, and he would send me pictures, and it would be kissing him in the pictures, and Kiss just had the CLK 430 Benz, and I'm in the jail, and the whole jail's going crazy. They like, oh shit, yo, you really know them niggas? Do I really know these niggas? What? You know what I'm trying to say? You know, respect is earned. Respect ain't given. Respect is earned. You know what I mean? And I earned my respect from my comrades. I want to say something to niggas that talk about jail real quick, because this is something that I haven't heard people say, and I just want people to understand what the lingo is. There's a difference between an inmate and a convict. Don't ever call me an inmate. I will never be an inmate. An inmate is an individual who is content and satisfied with a situation. He's going to keep his head down between his legs, and he's just going to try to stay out the way. A convict is a rebel. It's someone who always going to feel they being held against their will, someone who will never allow you to lock their mind up. You can have my body locked up, but my brain is forever free. I'm never here. That's a convict. Those are the niggas I fuck with. I fuck with convicts. I don't fuck with inmates. You know what I'm saying? Again, man, jail is always going to be jail, but different eras call for a different part of the culture. I was in the jail at this time. Bloods couldn't live in Green when I was there, for the record. I know a lot of homies. I got family. I got brothers. It's big hats. But at this particular time, man, it was just Crips. It was Latin Kings. It was Nietas. It was DPs. And, of course, the guard bodies and the Muslims. You know what I'm saying? Because one thing about the homies, you get 4 or 5 of them niggas together, they'll turn that whole shit out. You know what I'm saying? And they always try to prevent that. Of course, there was homies that was in there that niggas wouldn't touch. They were scared of. Of course, there was homies that came in and signed in. I seen all this shit. You know what I mean? Niggas were scared to death. You know what I'm saying? Niggas wasn't rapping like that. Then there was some niggas that just came in there and they couldn't wait to try to tear them niggas up. And they were scared to touch them. You know what I mean? And that's how them niggas got up out of there, because them niggas went to police on them niggas. So salute to the real rights. The niggas that I came across, I never cared about no gang shit. Whatever you is cool. Long as you have a certain respect and a principle for yourself, you good with me. I don't care about none of that shit. I felt myself defending niggas that was from my city, that was blood, that was saying they wasn't. And that shit hurt my feelings, man. Because you from my town. You know what I mean? Like I said, this is an old, you know, I'm kind of flashing back. So it's not like with disdain and shit, but this is the situations that I had to live by. When I got the Green, somebody said that I was blood. You know what I'm saying? I come from Yonkers. Yonkers is back staircases, pit bulls, battle rapping, busting your gun and selling crack and being able to scrap, being able to work your hands. That's Yonkers niggas for you. And we talk with some of the exquisite slang. Our slang is crazy. And we've been like that since we was kids. You know what I'm saying? But niggas said I was blood. I ain't no fucking blood. I just love pit bulls. I got a pit bull tattoo on my chest. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what I mean? I had stories where I had to fucking really apply pressure and show niggas what I was made of. You know what I mean? And again, respect is earned. You know what I mean? So I took a negative situation and I turned it positive, and we got the most out of the shit. We had a lot of fun. I actually had a lot of fun doing, like, you know, I had my moments, but then I had a lot of fun. You know what I mean? I was a facilitator. You got a violent charge. There's certain programs that you have to take, or you not going home. Any nigga that ever had a violent charge, they know they got to take ART. And I not only took the shit, I became the teacher. I became the nigga because the COs respected me. And they like, yo, you could get niggas in order. You know what I mean? So this is me in jail. It's 30 grown-ass niggas in here that these niggas got bodies, all kind of shootings. And, you know, they come into class and I'm like, yo, man, y'all niggas shut up and sit down, man. I'm going to talk to y'all today. And they respected it. You know what I'm saying? Because when I was taking the class, the nigga that was teaching us, they didn't respect him. You know what I'm saying? Like, they tell that nigga, shut up before we pop your top. You know what I'm saying? Like, you in here teaching, so what? You soft, shut up. You know what I'm saying? And when I became the facilitator, it was like, yeah, now we got one of our own in there. You know what I mean? And I had movement through the jail. That's why I was very popular. I was able to move throughout the whole jail. You know what I mean? And the COs respected me because they knew I was a nigga that could regulate. You know what I mean? Oh, I had a whole team. It wasn't me. I wasn't the one-man band. You know what I mean? I'm from 914. Anything that was moving from 914, we banded together like a brotherhood. But salute to my Brooklyn niggas, my niggas from Brownsville, my niggas from Marcy Projects. I had a lot of niggas that I was real tight with. You know what I mean? And we all fucked with each other. So, you know, but just that part of the history, it primed me for when I was about to get released. So that's the shit we could talk about, you know what I'm saying, when I came home now.
From there, Snype, I wanted to ask you, you know, going from the early days with the Lox to creating 354 while you were incarcerated, was D Block created while you were locked up, or was it created after you came home? Can you break that down for me?
Yep, good question. D Block actually was already created. When I came home, they had D Block already in motion. You know what I mean? They had the little homie Hood, and he was you know, he was doing his thing. I never coexisted with Hood with D Block at the same time. Like, that was his shit. He was the first out the gate. He started that shit. When I came home, I had my own shit, nigga. I was self-made. I had my own company. Me and my man was running around, and I was running around with people that had a lot of influence. You know what I mean? Rest in peace, my man 25 Deuce Nickel from Mount Vernon. Rest in peace, my man Lil D from Mount Vernon. OGs, man. They took me under the wing when I came home. They put me in the right situations. Shout out to my man Arsonist from the Heat Makers. Y'all know them as the Heat Makers that produce from Cam and them. I had my own relationship with them before Cam and them. I used to go right to their hood in the Bronx, you know, their little crib. It used to be like 2 or 3 of them, I believe. It was like 3 of them. But Arsonist, I always knew was like he was the nigga. Right. So my first demo I cut with them. Like my first recordings I did with them. I went to a studio in Harlem on 145th and I think Amsterdam or Edgecombe. I'm not sure which one, but it definitely was a studio over there somewhere. And I had to run through a room full of niggas to get on a record with McGruff that they produced. So it was like 7, 8 niggas in the room. They like, yo, the best nigga in here is getting on this song. You know what I did? I went in there and ran through the whole room. True story. And this is how I got the relationship with them. Not only that, it's like, yo, nah, he good. Matter of fact, we want to make you a beat. This kid is nice. My man's is telling him, I'm with real G's, though. I'm with the niggas that I'm with is respected. So they like, yo, what they say, the niggas gonna believe him. They're like, yo, our little homie is nice. This nigga, he just came home. He fresh out the can. He ready to go. Niggas like, oh, yeah, here. So they started feeding me. They started hitting me with wild shit. So I'm running around with that. Meanwhile, again, like I said, the D Block shit is already going. This is my hood, though. This is my block. So I come out, I see all 3 of them. Actually, the first thing I did was I got Lucha on the record before I got in D Block. Like formally, let me say, because if you really look at it, I've been D Block from day one because we from the hood. Like I don't need a name to say none of that shit. But like before I was formally like a D Block member, I already had records with Lucha Styles and Kiss for that matter. You know what I'm saying? My biggest record was probably the record I had with Styles, produced by Green Lantern. Shout out to Green, that's our homie too. Called Coast to Coast. You know what I'm saying? And then I did the remix with Maino. Shout out to Maino too, Hustle Hard. Maino is I'm gonna tell you some real shit, man. I'll give niggas they roses, man. I ain't never been a sucker. Maino one of the realest niggas, man, because he didn't have to come fuck with me. He didn't have to come do a song with me off the love, but he did. You know, mutual relationships, you know, jail code, G code, certain G's still stick and stay in tune with each other. And that happened. And he pulled up on me in the studio and he recorded and I just want him to know, like, or anybody that fuck with him to know, like, I always cherish that. Cause that was just like a nigga that we felt was popping, that we fucked with from where we at. And then for him to come through and embrace me, he said my rhyme to me. He said my rhyme to me when I met him. He said, nigga, you said, and he said my rhyme. I said, oh shit. Like maybe for him that shit wasn't about nothing, but for me, I was like, oh, that's crazy. You know what I mean? And then you know my trademark. Everybody know, if you don't know me, you know my trademark. Yep, you know that's my trademark. And I had him doing that shit the whole day. He just kept, yo, Snype, how you do that shit? Yo. Like, it's just fun times, man. And that was one of the great memories I always cherish, man. Real nigga.
Tell me a little bit more about that, because, yeah, Maino certainly came out of jail, big scar on his face, and he took the industry by storm. High hater, working with T-Pain. Did you guys link in jail, or you guys weren't locked up together?
Nah, that was like mutual. My man was in jail with one of his mans. And Maino was in jail with a couple of my comrades that's from my city. Real niggas that get busy. You know what I mean? So it was already an acknowledgement and a respect thing there. So it was just like, yo, this my man. He came home too. He wasn't in the jail with you, but he just came home too. So Maino already knew the vibes. Like, you know, he knew the code. It's like, you know, jail niggas, like, that's like you just said. He just came from that. You know what I mean? So he just extending the olive branch because he fucked with certain niggas that we fucked with that was already in jail with him. You know what I mean? So it's like, oh yeah, nah, we all affiliated. Definitely, I'll come through, fuck with y'all. You know what I mean? And it was real because a lot of niggas be talking that shit. But you know what I mean? Some pulled up on me, man. And like I said, always give him his props and respect for that. You know what I mean?
That's a real one for him to pull up on you like that. Was before we get back into it, because I want to talk about No Security. Was there any prior relationship with Maino to when he got locked up?
Never had a relationship with Maino. That's why I said, like, outside of my camp, he was the first artist that I really rocked with.
That's love.
Now with the 354 shit, you know, we you know, I put Bully down just for the record. You know, like I said, I'll give niggas their roses and when I feel like they deserve it. But I'm gonna speak on what I speak on when I stand for something else. I put Bully down Bully is somebody that grew up with me. We got a personal relationship. We know each other's family members. You know what I mean? You know, he chose to speak on the things he wanted to speak on and not include me or whatever, and that's cool. I don't hold that against him. But I'm not gonna tell my side of the story and try to play pet. I'm gonna tell it like it is. We ain't gonna be petty over here. I'm gonna tell it like it is. And like I said, I had the influence out of my peers. He is one of my peers. Actually, he did the beats. He was a beatbox nigga for me. He did the beats and I rap. No, he didn't rap when I rapped. You get it? I was the spitter from my hood. That was my shit. Nobody can take that from me. I had a homie, my man Shaq. We used to call him Shaq. Rest in peace to his pops. His pops just recently passed away. And the only reason why I mentioned that is because he played an intricate part in my upbringing. Because I used to tell him to get his pops amp. He used to get the amp from his pops, and we used to go and record and all that. But like I said, fast forward, everybody knew that shit started with Snype. 354, they know that shit started with me. Now, again, the Lox are our older brothers, so it's not the same. Don't try to compare it. No, it's different. But this is for my shit. This is my story. You know what I mean? And when I came home, all that was our upbringing. So when I came home, I always jumped off the porch first, Mikey T. Don't let these niggas get it twisted. I jumped off the porch way earlier, and I had to convince niggas to jump off the porch. I'm that guy. We're not gonna take that away from me. You hear me? I came home and I'm like, yo, that just made sense. So we running around, we tearing shit up. What? Smack DVDs, on the come up DVD. You know, shout out to Fendi. They was popping. My boy French. Now French, let me tell you, French Montana is another person that I hold a high respect for, like a Maino.
Bro.
Me and French go way back, Cocaine City. Fun fact, yo, French recorded me. French shot a video for me. Imagine that. My nigga's a rock star right now. You know what I'm saying? Literally, like, this is the same guy that I brought to my hood in the projects and put him in a booth in a closet, and we did a record. And I still got that record to this day. French is a real one, man. French is a real one. Never fronted on me. Always made sure I was on all of his shits. Know what I'm saying? And his shit was popping. He had that really popping before the music. So when he did the music and he took it to where he took it, come on, man. Niggas can't hate on that. I know what these niggas came from. You know what I'm saying?
So take me into it, Snype. When French Montana came and recorded you and did music with you, did you see the future superstar there? Could you just tell, like when you said when you were around DMX and Jada, could you just tell when you were around French?
You could tell. French had charisma. French had a lot of charisma. So there was just something that was like, you know what I mean? But like I said, his shit preceded itself. He was doing well for himself. So the Cocaine City DVD shit, Pee Wee Kirkland, you know, like he had that shit rocking. You know what I'm saying? But that was the era. See, I'm from the era of DVDs and mixtapes. If you wasn't on either, you wasn't pop. Even Battle Drag On. Like, come on, man.
Right.
That's somebody else. That's somebody else I hold in high regards, man. Salute the Drag. Well, let me rephrase that. I had a sparring match with Drag On. We had a lyrical sparring match. But the reason why we had a lyrical sparring match is because the two niggas that they threw in there, one was this little man. I had them niggas like this lyrically. It was three of us. We was at the Rucker one day. And Uncle Ralph got the tape, man. Rough Riders, Uncle Ralph got the tape. Kiss was there. Everybody was there. And it was these two cats. And they put me in there with them. I'm fresh out the can. And and at first I thought it was just like everybody just, you know, but the one kid, he spit at me. And then the other kid, he spit at me. So I felt like they was trying to jump me like. So I just went jail mode on these niggas. And I was just tearing these niggas up to the point it was a laugher. So they pushed Drag in there. Somebody pushed them in. It was a crowd. It was crazy. Out of nowhere, Drag comes in there. I never forget this day, Mikey T. I hold this shit high in hip hop because Drag is that nigga. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I fuck with Drag. At this time, battle rap. Oh, he's definitely that nigga. You know what I'm saying? I'm watching them up north. We watching the Rough Rider documentaries, seeing them tear niggas' heads off. So I come home. I'm like this. All right, this jail shit different though. Battling in the yard ain't like battling in front of all these niggas. It's different. You know what I mean? So long story short, we had a little, you know, he did it. You know what? I learned a lot from Drag that day. I learned about swag. I had no swag. I was stiff. Like, I remember a line the kid Drag said, he said something, I got bullets to turn corners. And when he said it, he leaned into me and he did like this and the crowd went crazy. Like, he knew how to, I was stiff. I'm like this, muscle man. But yeah, definitely said some ill shit that he respected. They stopped it. They was like, yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I said some shit like, oh, this nigga, oh, all right. And it's like, all right, you know what I mean? And then he dapped me, so I respect your game. Like, he whispered, something to me. I whispered back to him. I just appreciated that he even would. It's like sparring with the champ. You know what I mean? It's like, you got to appreciate that he even would even take the time to even do it with you. You know what I'm saying? Let alone this nigga's out here. Don't you know why in sports they do closed door scrimmages? Just in case the guy you don't know, the team, they bust their ass. They don't want everybody to see. So he took a chance. You know what I'm saying? So, and it was respected, man. Like I said, man, I learned a lot that day about swag, like, you know what I mean? But battle rap ain't really, like, that was just some shit we was doing in jail. So when I came home and I really seen, like, when they started, because this is like before they really started doing URL and all that. So we would just see the Smack DVDs, they would just battle, like, at some point on the DVD, right? Murder Mook and all of them. That's my homie, too. Shout out to Murder Mook. That's a good friend of mine. And he was on my team. I was coaching. But, y'all Harlem niggas always think y'all dumb nice and y'all be chucking. So I had to sit him on the bench. Sorry, Mook. It's my nigga, though. You know what I'm saying? Real talk. Yeah, man, I learned a lot that day from him. But then, I knew that I had more to offer. Like, I wasn't just a battle rapper. Like, I made songs. I know how to make songs. I make records. You know what I mean? So I just focused on that. And, that's the history with that, as far as, my introduction into that.
Right. And also, like you said, you're up there battling or you're sparring with one of your friends' best friends. You're up there sparring with Dragon, one of the best friends of a guy who you were talking about, DMX earlier, man. So that's just like, you're looking at it like, yo, this is a guy that's completely on. I'm fresh out of jail. There is a future for me in this shit.
There you go. That's exactly how I took it. That's the only way I could take it. You know what I mean? That was like a measuring stick. Like, am I even worth to do this shit? You know what I mean? But when I got the respect from, you know what I mean? Rest in peace to Fred. That's another one that I came through the ranks with. We used to do showcases together. You know what I mean? This is before he popped to where y'all knew who he was and respected what he was bringing. He always rapped the same way. He had a partner, actually. It was two. It was him and this cat named Virginia Slim. And I always liked him. Shout out to the son. But I know Fred from that era. You know what I mean? Like I said, I know French from that era. I know Maino from that era. Like, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, man, it just feel good to see a lot of my brothers that I consider brothers because they embraced me as such and showed me that love and respect. Seeing them come through the ranks, like, it was dope. I guess I'm like the nigga that got high in class and just kept getting left back, it sound like. You know what I'm saying? Word up, because I was stubborn, man. And like I said, the jail shit really set me back. So, I had a lot of catching up to do, not just with rap, like with family, I came home from jail. I lost my mom. She died in a horrible car accident. And I was fresh out of jail, you know what I mean? And I had to pick up the pieces, you know what I mean? And just a lot of different weight I had to carry on my shoulders while I was trying to do this. You know what I'm saying? Lost a lot, bro. Lost a lot, man. You know what I'm saying?
Nah, I appreciate that, Snipe Life. You actually brought up the battle or the sparring with Dragon at Tony Moxberg's Love video shoot. So I'm glad you went into it a little bit more today. But I wanted to get into January 2009. D-Block dropped No Security album. Can you tell me about the D-Block album finally coming together?
Oh, man. Yo, man. One of the best moments of my life. One of the best phases of my life. I traded for nothing in the world. Man. Shout out to my brothers, man. Shout out to Kids. Shout out to P. Shout out to Luch. So much I want to say, bro. Like, I'm literally like, if we talking No Security and anybody watching this, pull it up or just visualize that album cover for me. And visualize the bottom half of that album cover, which was like a Usual Suspects lineup of all of the D-Block artists. And just visualize that me being literally the last guy standing. Know what I'm saying? It didn't even start off like that, bro. Like Luch, I'm in the hood. These are my guys. We outside. I run into Luch one day. Yo, come to the studio. I need you to be on a record for the album. We doing a D Block, no security, you know, Oh, word? I'm still doing 354. I'm literally getting features. I'm literally getting, I was getting 500 when I started 354, like for verses. And I already said that. All my D Block fellow brothers, salute, they all know I was the all-time leader in features on D Block. So y'all could like who y'all want. Y'all can have this favorite, that. I'm telling y'all some real shit. Snype handled his business. Snype came in as a business. What D Block did was it took my shit to another level, obviously, because I'm right next to legends. You know what I mean? And all the shit that I was popping now is confirmed because they see me, I'm here, and they see how they treat me, and they see how they talk to me. And we have certain conversations that only me and them could have because we was the only ones there. And that's for the other D Block members too. And no, not to them. I'm just saying there were certain conversations that I could have with the Lox that the rest of them couldn't. You know what I mean? This is all real shit. But again, I'm always into giving my brothers their roses. You know what I mean? So I will say this. Every nigga that you seen on that cover of No Security, they deserve it. They earned the right to be there. I never take that from not one of them on there. I am the last of the next G's though. It is what it is. It started with a song. I walked in one night to do a song and I never left. It turned into weeks and months in this preparation for this album. We worked on this album for about 8 months, give or take. You know what I mean? And like I said, ironically, I was the last guy to come in. So let me get that clear. Hood had the first chapter of D Block. He was the first perception that the Lox gave to the rest of the world that, yeah, nigga, we got some spitters. He started with that. Now, this chapter here that we talking about with No Security, this brought a different breed of MCs in. Shout out my brother AP, Large Amount, Straws, Don D. Fucking, who else I'm missing, man? Fucking Bully was there. I'm not gonna never take, like I said, I'm not gonna take nothing from nobody. Everybody earned that shit.
On the album?
Yes, sir. Everybody. We was like this. Niggas could not fuck with us when we was on our shit. Oh, of course, my brother, Raw Buck, the only nigga from Philly that was really an official D Block nigga. Like I said, No Security was our baby, man. Had a lot of fun doing it. So many different experiences. We went on tour for it. Just so you know, right? Snype Life always played the point guard. That was my thing. I was the guy that usually set the tone. I was the vocal leader. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not tooting my own horn. I'm letting y'all, again, everybody tell their story, dog. I sat back for years. I'm in a whole different space, but this is part of my history. Y'all niggas is not gonna take that from me. So y'all gonna give me mine the same way I don't mind giving. The same way if I fuck with you, and if I'm wrong about something, I'll say, yo, you right, dog, I'm wrong. You right, I'm wrong. I have no problem doing that. I have no problem doing that. J Hood ain't never said nothing foul about me, ever. Understand what I'm saying? When he was going at them niggas, when we was in that transition of doing No Security, and when he was going at niggas, I made a G call to him. I don't gotta go through what I said, but I said what I said to him, and he respected it, and he ain't never said my name foul. He ain't never stood around nobody that said something foul about me. You know what I mean? So I wanted to make the G call to him and let him know that I was wrong for that, which I did, because I don't even give a fuck if he got kicked out of D Block or not. I don't give two shits about that. You know what I mean? That ain't my place to speak on. You know what I mean? Real shit. You know what I mean? But at the same time, my shit always come with a disclaimer. You know what I'm saying? Like, my disclaimer is I always tell my niggas humbly, don't take my kindness for weakness, though. If I say I know I'm wrong about something, you know I get busy, so don't play with me. You know what I'm saying? At the same time, I'm not a nigga that run around trying to be a tough guy. So if a nigga that I know if I could whoop your ass, if you give me the respect, I'm still going to give you that respect. I'm never going to front on you or act funny with you. That's anybody. I'm just saying in general, anybody. That's just how I move. I'm an honorable nigga. I know they say ain't no honor amongst thieves. I ain't never snuck thief nothing in my life. When I did it, I took it from niggas. 160.10, I'm in the law book. I take your shit. I ain't going to steal nothing from you. I'm going to take your shit. So that's why I walk with honor. Know what I mean? And if you give me that, I'm going to give it back to you. I don't give a fuck about whoever else got whatever relationship or say whatever else about you. That's just for me, for Snype. Know what I'm saying? But like I said, man, even with the bully shit. You know what I mean? We got a different type of situation, and it's like he's scared to speak on my name or something about it. But at the end of the day, we played an important part in each other's essence. You know what I mean? And to this day, right now, I wish the best for him. I don't got no ill feelings against him. I know his family, his mom's sister. He know mine's. You know what I mean? So it's different. I just was never an internet nigga. I'm not a nigga to get on the internet. Yeah, I'm in a great space right now, you know? But my story gonna get told. Niggas ain't gonna take that from me. All the shit that went on that y'all don't know about, that I had a lot to do with a lot of that shit. You know what I'm saying? A lot of niggas got beat down, got their hands put on them. A lot of shit happened, man. A lot of shit happened, dog. We don't talk, but we ain't internet niggas. Like, I ain't never, it's so many stories I could tell you about your favorite rappers. You be like, what? You be looking at niggas way different. That's why I keep it the way I just stay out the way and mind my business. You know what I'm saying? Drink plenty of water, walk slow, and mind my motherfucking business, dog. You know what I mean? But a nigga ain't gonna talk about my business. And I ain't, niggas say, oh, you wild. Nah, fuck all that, man. Cause I put that work in. Y'all niggas ain't put that work. Y'all niggas ain't spend a yard with me. You know what I'm saying? Y'all niggas ain't take the sacrifices that I had to take. You understand what I'm saying? Shit wasn't no fucking vacation. This shit wasn't sweet. This shit was real, dog. So all the shit I'm rapping about, I stand on it. Ain't nothing gangster about being tough, dog. Gangster is when you willing to stand up and die for what you believe in, nigga. That's gangster. Taking care of your motherfucking kids is gangster, nigga. Niggas run around here with chains on, kids run around here bummy. Let's talk about it, man. That niggas is crazy. My cousin lost his life. My little cousin, rest in peace, Doug. My little cousin lost his life on my block, 354. He lost his life defending his family. Half of these niggas running around with tattoos. Y'all niggas don't take care of the family. They don't reach out to his son. That ain't gangster. Give a fuck about that. And that's why niggas be uncomfortable when I come around, Mikey T, because I keep it like this. You feel my energy when I come around. When I walk in that room, you gonna know I walked in that room. I don't give a fuck if you a star. I don't give a fuck about none of that. You understand what I'm saying? Benny the Butcher, Davies, those are my niggas, man. Salute to those brothers. Do you see me on Instagram trying to be their fucking best friend? I don't give a fuck about none of that. You see how we are when we in person? You see how me and Benny is? You see how we rock? I get with East, we working out, we doing all kind of shit in the studios. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of shit I cherish. I don't care about this internet shit. I'm not from this era, dog, so I'm not gonna go back and forth with niggas. I'm not arguing with y'all niggas. I'm a grown-ass man. You know what I mean? My son is bigger than half of these little niggas. Like, my fucking child. You know what I mean? Like, I'll put hands on one of these niggas and it'll just be, oh, you wildin'. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, man, like I said, I don't want to get too caught up in that shit. You know what I mean? I just want people to know I'm an honorable person and I'm a fair person. If I'm wrong about something, I'll tell you I'm wrong. If I'm right about something, and everybody has witnessed this, niggas is not going to stand up with the likes of Styles or Lucha Kiss and argue with them chest to chest and get sweaty like y'all going to scrap. I will do that, though. And my brothers know I will stand up for what I believe in. But at the same time, I never pull rank on them brothers. And I want people to know something, because I know y'all seen some of us different. And I want to tell y'all something about the Lox, man. The Lox don't owe us shit. The Lox don't owe us nothing. None of us. I don't give a fuck what none of these niggas talking about. The Lox don't owe us shit. They opened that motherfucking door and they told niggas to get in and ride this shit to the wheel fall off, nigga. You can't pay for that. That's priceless, nigga. My niggas know. I could be difficult sometimes. You know, I got a problem with authority, obviously. So I'm a nigga, you can't tell me what to do. You can't tell me how to rap, how to be. Can't do none of that. I live it. This is what I do. They always allow me to be me. They never question. They've been right there. They watched me grow up, so they know what I'm doing is authentic. They never took none of that from me, dog. They allowed me to be who I felt most comfortable being. They never tried to change me. So it's a lot of people with the similarity. Oh, you sound like. They never tried to change me. They never judged me. They know this is the shit from the core. And I feel like I always wanted to show them how much that I was always humbled and appreciative of that, because they ain't have to give me nothing. You understand what I'm saying? Some of your favorite rappers can't call them and get a verse tomorrow. I can. They ain't never talked no money with me when it came about verses. They ain't never charged me for no verses. These are my brothers, man. I get this shit with a fucking drop of a dime. Know what I'm saying? And that's the type of shit you can't pay for. I'm the nigga. You could come to me with a Lox verse on $20,000. I'm gonna tell you to keep the money. Let me get the verse. That's who Snype is. That's the type of nigga I am. And that's why they love me and they respect me and they trust me, obviously. They trust that they know that I know the G code. I know how to move and know what not to do. But my relationship is like an untold one where here's D-Block, here's the brand. Go fuck some shit up. Go do what you want to do. If you need us, we right here, one phone call away. Nobody else ain't getting that. Niggas can't do that. I've shown this shit over the years. You know, everybody talking about the contracts. Yeah, fuck the contracts. Contracts was bullshit. Yeah, you heard it from me. Contracts was bullshit. But you know what was more important to me? I wanted to prove that my loyalty was worth more than a piece of paper. Man, I give a fuck about that. I know these niggas before all this shit. All I know is as long as I keep doing what I'm doing, I'm gonna be blessed. I'm gonna be rewarded. Care about all this shit these niggas talking about. Everybody sounding disgruntled and all that. Know what I mean? The pleasure of being affiliated to be aligned and these brothers acknowledging you as their brother is enough for me. And being able to do what I want and share these stages with them, this is the shit that's priceless. I come from the crack era. You gotta hustle. Ain't no handouts. All right, you got a song. All right, go get money, nigga. And there's one thing I'm gonna tell you that the Lox will say about me. If there's anything you would ever want to ask the Lox about Snype, the one thing that they all will always agree on is, man, Snype always figures out a way to figure it out. He always got something up his sleeve. You know what I'm saying? I go from rapper, manager, road manager, security, all that. I done did it all. I done did it. Sometimes I forgot. Like, yo, nigga, you rap, you Snype. Like, you putting your life on the line for this shit, dog. You sacrificing too much right now. You gotta chill. Sometimes I had to check myself. You understand what I'm saying?